What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, and here with me is Amanda from Zelda Universe and Ethan from Highland Bandicoots, and we are here to take your questions and answer them live about The Legend of Zelda or Nintendo or Breath of the Wild. Whatever questions you have, we're here to answer them. So in the chat, why don't you go ahead and get started, and while your questions queue up, we'll go ahead and start talking about some recent news that came out during an interview. I forgot if it's Miyamoto or Aonuma, but someone asked them about what they had planned for the next Zelda game, and they mentioned something about taking everything they've learned in the engine from Breath of the Wild and creating a multiplayer game out of that. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? Do you think they should do like an Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask or Phantom Hourglass Spirit Tracks style thing to where they reuse the same engine to hurry and make a new game? And what do you think about them making the next one multiplayer focused instead of a genuine Zelda game, like a single player experience?
Oh, I just want it single player. I don't want it to be multiplayer. I really don't. It's always been a game that I've always played by myself, and maybe somebody will be sitting with me and yelling with me. But yeah, it's always just been something I've done by myself.
I think the core experience, like the core games, I agree. I prefer them as a single player game. But if they want to reuse the stuff they've built with Breath of the Wild to make like a new multiplayer thing, a thing they could do as well, which would be pretty cool, is if you look how Dark Souls has done it, where you can sort of summon other players to come and fight for you as well when you're taking on certain bosses and stuff. So you could have like a multiplayer element to the main series games, similar to how you got the Miiverse battles and stuff in Wind Waker, but then you can have sort of like a Dark Souls-y thing where you sort of maybe summon other links that have different gear to you to help you fight and stuff. But in terms of a full multiplayer game, yeah, I'd want it to be like a spin-off, but it would be cool seeing like a full 3D Zelda game with 4 different people, like in a dungeon. So it's a bit chaotic, kind of like how 3D World, where you've got like 4 players in a Mario game at the same time. That would be pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the idea though of it being like maybe supplemental. So it's, if it was done in one of the major 3D games, that it's not required to finish the game, but it's just kind of thrown in there for extra fun.
Yeah, one of the things that Aonuma mentioned whenever he first...
Let's have a look at the chat, shall we? Just pop down to say hello.
One of the things that Aonuma mentioned whenever he discussed Zelda Wii U for the first time when it was known as Zelda Wii U, they also showed off Wind Waker HD during the same Nintendo Direct. One of the things that he said he wanted to change about the Zelda series is that he didn't want you to think of this Zelda game as a single-player experience. Now, they could have scrapped that ideal, but what I've seen and sort of what I think would be interesting is if they make it optional, like we see with the Wolf Link in this game. He kind of already acts as your side partner or your side character. So if they could...
Bless you.
Yeah, bless you. If, say if player 1 is playing with the Pro Controller, and then player 2 picks up the gamepad and taps the Wolf Link amiibo, instead of an AI controlling Wolf Link, if the second player could control Wolf Link, that way it would be completely optional.
That's cool. Yeah.
What would you guys think about that?
That's awesome. I think the only thing with that is it's sort of putting the multiplayer behind a paywall, because then you have to buy the Wolf Link thing if you want to do a multiplayer thing. So I think with what Wolf Link does at the minute is sort of the furthest they can go without being accused of having like DLC where you have to pay extra money to do things, because the Wolf Link already does quite a lot of cool things. It can like hunt for you and stuff like that, which is awesome. But yeah, that would be amazing if you could do that. If you could have like, because they sort of did that in, if you look at Super Mario Galaxy 2 for example, I think you can play as like a Luma or something like that, or you can like shoot things with star bits whilst the other person's playing as Mario as like the main character. So you don't really have much of an effect on the game, but you can like do little things in the background. So something like that would be cool. Like maybe if you can control like Navi or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd like it to be like the Wolf Link amiibo where one controls the gamepad and that's Wolf Link and one controls the character. That would be fun because that would be just one of those instances where somebody comes over and it's like, hey, want to play Zelda? Sure. I don't want to just sit here and watch you play, but we'll play it together. And that way you're just hanging out and playing.
Yeah, that's kind of what the Galaxy 2 was like. You just sort of drop in and you can like, because with Galaxy 2 you had that, it was actually like a 3D Mario game, but you had that thing where you could point the Wiimote at the screen and like shoot star bits at like enemies and stuff, and you could do that when you play it too, even though you couldn't like move around or anything. So maybe something like that would be pretty good, where it doesn't really affect the game, but just something for the couch person watching to do.
Yeah. So, has there been any questions queued up in the chat that people are wanting answered?
We got a few people saying hi in that. We got Pewfin Dark Honest. We got Seth. We got Ben Drowned. No one's really put a question forward yet. I think they were just sort of
just
talking.
Some comments on multiplayer.
Yeah. Alright, so guys in the chat and watching this, remember, we are here to answer your questions. So if you have any Nintendo-related, Zelda-related questions, please ask them, and we will try our best to answer them as intelligently as we can.
Yeah.
So, Ethan, I haven't really got a chance to ask you in a discussion video yet. What are some things that haven't really been shown off yet for this Zelda game that you're excited about?
Firstly, the green tunic. Like, it was really frustrating me how I was just waiting for them to reveal it at E3 and they didn't. Like, I really want that iconic shot of Link with the green tunic and the Master Sword and shield, because I like the idea of you like customizing your gear and stuff and your outfits and that to accommodate the climate and things. But I do want to see like the classic look, so I was a bit annoyed that they didn't show that. It's just more of a pet peeve though, really, because I really want to see that. But I'm looking forward to seeing that appear in the game anyway. But other than that, I'm just looking forward to exploring the game, seeing what I can do. I'm a bit worried, to be honest, because I like to fully 100% complete the games, and this looks like it's going to be a massive game, so I'm kind of scared about my social life going down the drain when it comes out. But yeah.
Yeah, I think Gnomo himself said that finishing this game 100% is going to be really hard. It'll take some time. Yeah, regarding the green tunic, I can't imagine them not putting it in there. They've got to have it at least just as maybe his final outfit or something, but it's got to be in there somewhere. But I do like that he can change outfits and how the different ones affect his defense and all of that. I think that's a pretty cool touch.
Yeah, well, we were saying before how we think that the Hylian shield's going to be a similar thing to in Skyward Sword, where it's like an unbreakable one. So you have to earn that, and then maybe the hero's tunic's similar to that, or maybe it's just like a generic tunic that you get fairly early on, and then you can sort of mix it out and stuff. But as long as it's in the game, I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the game. But yeah. Did
you see the part with the shield surfing?
Yeah, that's really good.
That was so cool.
I watched the Treehouse thing with Pro Jared, and he was just literally shield surfing the whole time. It's also quite funny if you have a shield that's about to break and you shield surf on it. If it shatters, and then you just like ragdoll all over the floor, which is really funny. But yeah.
Yeah, when I tried it, I don't know if shield surfing was available when I tried it, or if I just didn't try that. I was too busy climbing everything.
Yeah. Did you go to E3 then? Did you?
I did.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Awesome. I wish so lucky. What was the did you get to go into like the whole booth thing with like, because they laid it all out, didn't they, like Hyrule?
Oh my gosh, it was like Zelda meets Disney World. It was so amazing. Like the whole set was just beautiful, and getting in there was an effort all to itself, because everybody was lined up 2 hours beforehand.
Oh my god!
And then just ran, like totally booked it in. There was a full-on stampede. It was pretty great.
Yeah, there's videos that went like semi-viral of that.
The stampede.
Yeah, I love how I could pick myself out and my teammates out.
Yeah. I must admit, I love how, even though I was a bit disappointed with Nintendo E3, because obviously all they announced was, all they spoke about really was Sun and Moon and Zelda is what they focused on. But I quite like how they just focus on Zelda, because it, like, all of their E3 experience was purely Zelda, so it's good for us as fans, like, of that series.
Like the perfect way to celebrate Zelda's 30th is just a full Zelda E3.
Yeah.
Don't see any questions yet.
I'm posting the link now. Share it on mine.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it.
Link himself's commented on the video though, so that's
yeah.
quite
We have Link and he can talk.
Oh,
voice acting confirmed.
Confirmed. Yeah, I was gonna say Link speaking confirmed for Breath of the Wild.
Link can talk, everybody.
Breaking traditions, apparently.
What did you think of that? The open your eyes thing in the trailer.
Gosh, I was just, as soon as they started talking, I was just like, oh!
Yeah. Did you see Did you get to see the old man when you played it, or was he not?
Yeah,
I don't think he was.
The old man.
Was he in the demo?
Yeah, he was in the demo. He was towards the beginning of the demo.
Yeah, because does he speak, or is it just like a text?
Okay, so he doesn't like have a voice actor. He just has just the written text there. Now I don't know if they're gonna dub it over later or what, but as far as I know, it's just written.
Yeah.
And honestly, I like to see how they're going to go with the voice acting, because voice acting in video games has come a long way since the early days of gaming. And they're hiring actual actors, and that's kind of an important part, because voice acting isn't just using your voice, it's acting.
Well, they use likenesses a lot as well now, don't they, in a lot of the games? So it is actually a big deal.
Does that a fair amount, like with their Uncharted and Last of Us. Oh, we got a question. What was your first Zelda game? And that's from Zach Whalen. And my first one was Ocarina of Time. I was late to the party. I didn't play my first Zelda game until I was 12. And it was Ocarina of Time. I saved up my money, and when it came out, my dad took me to KB Toys at the mall, and I bought my Ocarina of Time game, and it was just like the greatest moment ever.
What about you? Should I go first? Should I go next?
Yeah, go ahead.
You go ahead.
My first game was Ocarina as well. I'm only 18, so I suppose I'm quite young to the party, so I suppose. But like I got but I wanted to get into Zelda, and I was like, oh, which game's a good one to start with, and I ended up getting I had a GameCube at the time. I've got all the consoles now, so I've got like the originals and stuff now, but I had at the time a GameCube, so I ended up getting the Wind Waker bundle, where it was like the gold edition, and it had the Ocarina of Time port with Master Quest onto the disc. And then I was like, oh, I'll start with Ocarina since it's the old one, and then it was just my favourite game since then. But I think other Zelda games are better than it, but I just kind of like it. Yeah, it's just always been my favourite one, because that's like the first experience with Zelda that I had. So I was just like, oh my god, this game is so good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's hard for me to say which is necessarily my favorite, but the first one that I ever played was A Link to the Past, and I've said this a few times in some of my videos, but my memories with A Link to the Past are like some of the first memories that I actually have in general from being alive, because it was I think I was like 2-3 years old, and all I can remember is when my brother would wake up and be getting ready for school, because he was a few years older than me, my dad and I would just be sitting in the floor playing A Link to the Past. And then like I got addicted to that game for a few years, and then I kind of went on a Zelda drought to where we got rid of that game for some odd reason. And then whenever Ocarina of Time first came out, I was like, oh, that's Zelda, I remember Zelda. And then I begged and begged and begged to get that game for Christmas. So after that, I was just addicted to the series. Majora's Mask came next, and then Wind Waker, and now I'm here. So.
What are your guys' favourites? What's your guys' favourites in the series? Mine's probably Ocarina, definitely.
Mine's either Ocarina or Wind Waker, one or the other.
I would have to say Ocarina of Time or Skyward Sword.
Skyward Sword is my husband's favorite.
Because I think, motion controls aside, which is the main problem most people have with that game, it actually focuses more on a story. There's kind of that relationship between Link and Zelda. There isn't just like one plot to where, oh, go save the princess, and then that's it. In this game,
I like how he had a reason to go find her. It wasn't just, oh, this is your destiny and you're courageous. I mean, that was his best friend and hopefully girlfriend.
This is the princess. She's the ruler of the kingdom. You've never met her before, but for some reason, you're tasked with going to save her. In this game, it's like you're best friends with her, and there's not just the story or the plot of you and her kind of kindling a relationship. You also have the rivalry with Groose, which turns into a friendship. And there's just a lot more that this game explores in terms of story. And it kind of...
I really liked... sorry, go on.
I was going to say, like, not only is there the main story, but one of the many reasons that a lot of people like Majora's Mask is all of the side stories in the game. You learn about the characters. And this game is really the only other game that goes as in-depth as Majora's Mask does, with all the different side characters, depending on how you talk to them and what you do. Like the woman in the bazaar shop will either get a crush on you.
The item check girl.
Yeah, she'll either get a crush on you or she'll grow to not really be too fond of you. There's the side quest with the hand in the toilet that can either ruin another NPC's life or make them. I think they end up getting.
They end up a couple, and it's super cute.
Yeah, so it's like the fact that this Zelda game explores those options and has, like, your experience with the game may be different than someone else's, so I like that. And then it seems like this new Zelda game, Breath of the Wild, is going to take that a step further, since depending on where you jump off of the Great Plateau at and start venturing in that direction, you may end up with a completely different story than somebody else, as Miyamoto and Aonuma has mentioned, so I'm excited about that as well.
Yeah. We got some new questions. Yeah.
Here's a good question asking, let's see, it's Finding Hylia. Do you think Breath of the Wild is on another timeline apart from the ones we have? So I guess like maybe a fourth timeline split. No, I think it is far. I think it's definitely a post-apocalyptic. Way past Wind Waker.
Imagine zombies.
The Koroks are in it. Although I do like your comment here about maybe they're going to go with the CDI timeline. I'm going to go with that one.
I really hope it's not a fourth. My answer is I hope it's not a fourth timeline because it's already confusing enough as it is.
I think keep them all straight.
Would the Tingle games fall in line with the CDI games?
Oh my god, yeah.
The Tingle games are a masterpiece.
And
it's really
almost as good as CDI.
I was gonna say it's really a shame that we didn't really get any of those games since the DS. Like, I don't think the 3DS or the Wii or Wii U had any of those. It was just like spin-off games on the DS.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land, I don't even think it was ever released in the US. You have to like get it imported from Europe.
Yeah. Oh, but to answer his question, do you guys, like, if you had to pick a place in this timeline, which timeline would it be in, or before or after which game?
After Wind Waker. Way after Wind Waker.
Yeah, the whole Wind Waker thing, that's a popular opinion that people have, and I think if it does fall after Wind Waker, I think it'll happen concurrently with Spirit Tracks. Like
I've heard that a lot of people have been mentioning that theory.
At the same time that the new Link in Spirit Tracks is in New Hyrule trying to do whatever he's doing in that land, this Link is back in Old Hyrule after it's dried out. The Koroks are successful, but Ganon's still there. And there's
an awesome idea.
Yeah, these two Links are like one Link on New Hyrule and another Link on the old Hyrule, and like that's kind of
neat.
how I go. So it would be interesting.
Maybe that's why they kept him in thingy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they kept him in asleep for 100 years as well, because they've already got a Link, haven't they? So
yeah. And somebody mentioned earlier in the comments of one of my videos that the old man, when he wakes Link up, he asks Link if he remembers anything, and Link says no, and then the old man acts like he gets depressed about it. So maybe if Link was sleeping for the 100 years, then maybe he and Link were around the same age before Link went to sleep, and then when Link wakes up, he doesn't remember who he is or who the old man is or anything else. So that would be an interesting concept. And then
I've also heard the theory that the old man is Link of the future. Like, instead of Phil of the future, it's Link.
Yeah.
Please tell
Kind
me
of
somebody
like-
watched that show.
I don't watch that now. So I'm afraid.
It was on Disney Channel like, over 10
I
years
watched
ago.
it, yeah. So the old Link is a Link that travels to the past, you're saying?
Yeah, that's one theory that I've heard, that old Link is, or the old man is like old Link.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, the whole time travel thing is always going to throw me.
Yeah. Well, time travel is something that in several Zelda games, it's a huge part of the plot. In Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, I know. That's why I always get thrown
Skyward
off.
Sword. Yeah. So Ethan, do we have any other questions from the chat?
Yeah, we got some more stuff coming on.
Yeah, we've got some good questions.
We got
Alright.
quite a few as well, so we could probably just go purely off these now. Let me see. No, we had some good ones there. Right, we got. Right, so we've got Charlie Gilchrist here says. So, as one of the many people that didn't like the stamina system in Skyward Sword, do you think they will handle stamina better in Breath of the Wild? Judging from the gameplay we've seen, I think the stamina system is handled like very similar way. So you've just got the little green. Probably Amanda's the best one to answer this because she's played it. But
Yeah, the way the stamina works is,
Yeah.
as soon as you stop with pressing the stamina button or whatever, the green starts to refill a lot quicker. So it's not like you have to go find fruit or anything. It tends to fill back up a lot easier, especially like when you're climbing. All you have to do is like stop at like a ledge for just a second and it reloads. So it's similar to Skyward Sword, and I don't know if they're going to do something. I imagine they'll have some kind of a stamina potion, because they always do stuff like that. Or I imagine they'll have something that'll help with it. But it's very similar, but I do like it better. Just because it feels like he doesn't run out of stamina so quickly.
Yeah, and one thought that I've had is we see in this game that you can get different foods and items that let you withstand the cold longer than if you hadn't had anything at all. Like, I think if you have something spicy, you can stay in the icy territories a lot longer without having heavy clothing on. And I think there will be something similar in the game that you can mix together that'll give you more stamina while you're running. And another thought that I have
Probably.
is where you have heavy clothing that'll make you last longer while you're in colder areas. I think we may get something similar, maybe something like the Pegasus boots or the green tunic, since green kind of goes with stamina, to where you have
There you
an
go.
almost endless supply of stamina while you're running.
Yeah, I know I watched a really cool because you have sort of like different fruits and foods and stuff which heal your stamina. There was an awesome video where someone's scaling a wall and then they're literally about to run out of stamina. They jump, pause it mid-air, eat the fruit, and then grab back onto the wall because they managed to fill the stamina bar up. That was pretty cool. So yeah, I quite like the way that stamina works though, because it's the same in every game. Like when you sprint, you can only sprint for a certain amount of time. So
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's why we may see something like the Pegasus boots return, to where in older games it would just allow you to dash until you ran into something, but in this game it may get like double or even triple your stamina meter. And I think it would be interesting if, say, when you venture to Death Mountain, or a really high mountain to where there is no ledge that you can stop and refill your stamina. So you can't make it up the mountain if you don't have a specific item. So maybe if they had like rock climbing shoes or a rock climbing outfit that they didn't necessarily make you run faster, but it would make you climb a lot faster or give you more stamina while you climbed, and then you could use that to get to certain areas that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. Something like that. But moving on to other questions, do you guys see any interesting? And I apologize, but where my screen's taken up by Skype, I can't necessarily see your questions, so I'm relying on Amanda and Ethan to pick them out.
It's okay, we can.
Yeah. We're a few minutes behind, so the comments, when you comment, it's coming up on the stream, like, obviously a few minutes after. A couple of people have said that it's stuttering a bit as well. What's the health like on your, on the control panel? Can you get that up without having that? I don't think you can you?
What's up?
Because it's alright for me, but a few people have said it's stuttering a bit.
I'm not having any problems now. The stream itself looks like it's frozen, but I'm not having any problem with the comments or anything.
Yeah.
Oh, Finding Highly asks, left Twix or right Twix? I'm left-handed, so I'm going to say left.
I like both. They taste the same.
They have milk in them, so I can't have them, but...
Oh, really? What happens if you eat it? Does it just
throw
make you
up.
ill?
Or I just
Really?
have a stomach ache.
Sometimes it's worth it, though. Do you eat them sometimes?
No, it's not worth it.
I just did it now and again. Me, if I really wanted a Twix, I just eat it. And again, I probably didn't know the severity of the consequences.
It's one of those things, like, after dealing with it for so long, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
The stream looks fine to me, so if anyone's having problems, just try to refresh or reload the page.
Yeah.
So that might be...
We had a guy called, like, Saurian or whatever. He refreshed it and stuff and tried it in different sites and tried it in different thingies, but hopefully you can get it sorted out a bit there.
So,
here's a good question from Tom Hiley. So, Skyward Sword takes place at the beginning of the timeline, and the Sheikah have been around since before then. Do you think it's possible for Breath of the Wild to predate Skyward Sword in the timeline? It's kind of hard to call because the Koroks are there, so unless the Koroks made it into a different timeline and not the Wind Waker timeline. If it is not... I can't imagine it predating Skyward Sword because Link has been asleep for 100 years. And Link and Zelda, when Skyloft came down, they basically started Hyrule. So it would have to be like way earlier, and Skyward Sword is a whole new Hyrule, and then that starts going from there. But I just think it's so far in the future.
Yeah,
I think it would be a good shout if because obviously Skyloft, that was like they raised it up into the air to save the people, didn't they, from all the shit that was going on